Stanford has covered 6 games in a row, and Washington State has covered their last 4, all by big margins, and they meet up in college football week 9. And this is interestingly the game that Al McMordie from BigAl.com has chosen to discuss this week. And Al, we've also seen some major line movement on this game as well. Earlier in the week, Washington State was a 13-point home underdog. Now it's down to 10.5 or 11, and the total was 66. Now it's down to 62, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with inclement weather that I've seen in the weather report coming up. Some crazy winds. We'll see what the weather report is, on Friday night when it's closer to kickoff. If there were no weather issues here, I would have been all over the over 66. But with all the weather issues, now the total is 62. Probably the under is the right play. And how does the weather affect, the game plan for Washington State? Obviously, they're a big pass-heavy team, so, it becomes a battle in the trenches in the rain that probably favors Stanford, although maybe it also favors a big home dog like this. Interesting handicapping matchup here, Al. What do you like here?
Well, so what number do I get? Do I get the number where I emailed you and told you I wanted to play the game, or do I get the 10.5 or 11?
Unfortunately, Al McMordie, we have to be very religious about not using stale numbers. Got to go with 11 or 10.5. Although it's interesting that Greek still has 11.5, so they appear to have a lean towards Stanford here.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm still on Washington State. I was just curious what your policy was.
Yeah, policy is religiously adherent to not using stale numbers.
Sure. So, one of the things I love to do, Peter, is play on high-flying college football offenses, and especially when I can get them as a home underdog, and certainly Mike Leach's Cougars fit the bill here. Washington State is catching double digits, even though it has won 3 straight games and covered its last 4, as you mentioned. The Cougars put up 45 points last week in an upset win at Arizona. They scored 52 2 weeks ago at home versus Oregon State, and home underdogs off back-to-back wins in which they scored 90 or more points combined in those 2 wins. Those teams are 64 and 29 ATS since 1983, and even better, home dogs of +4 or more points off back-to-back wins, including an upset win the previous week as a dog of 4 or more on the road. Those teams are 70% ATS going back to 1985. I'm going to take Washington State plus the points here. The weather, it'll have an effect, but all they do is pass the ball anyway. So I guess what they'll do is they'll go with probably shorter routes, and the wind will have a major factor there. If it's windy, they'll have to shorten the routes, but otherwise the rain shouldn't affect it all that much at all.
Yeah, and actually if they go with shorter routes, maybe that could actually benefit their passing game. Their cuts will be easier for the receivers. I have heard that theory, that actually muddy weather in certain situations tends to benefit the offensive receivers against the secondary defenders. All right now the line is 10.5 or 11. Al McMordie recommending a play on Washington State right now, plus 11. Al McMordie, give a plug for BigAl.com, your website.
Well, sure. I've been in business since 1992. The website BigAl.com has been around since 1995, and I think it's the best website on the internet for buying picks. You can get plays not only from myself, but from Larry Ness, Scott Spreitzer, Ben Burns, ASA, Tom Stryker, Brandon Shively. Lots of terrific winning information at BigAl.com. We also give 4 free winners every day. Just go to BigAl.com and you can get 2 free winners from myself every day and 1 from Larry Ness, 1 from Scott Spreitzer. Just go to the homepage at BigAl.com, or you can click on free picks for that wealth of information.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks so much, Al.
Thanks, Peter.